Welcome to the Early Night Show with Anway Pramanik.
Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of Early Nights with Anway Pramanik, or as some of you like to call it, Anway Pramanik's Early Night Show. I roll with both right now. Soon we'll know which one's gonna be our main podcast name, I guess. Since yesterday was a very last episode was a very hardcore scripted one, this one's more light, more free. It's more freestyle. This is one of those freestyle sessions today. And I'm going to talk about something which someone asked me recently. But before I jump into that, I want to tell you all that, you know how I have this ritual of having a cup of something ready next to me to give me company. I think I've realized that if not for this podcast and for the people listening in, I would really not have, like, this podcast is for me a place of depth, right? Like, I still remember an episode of this show called 18 Days, in which oh man, my throats are really acting up today. Anyway, so this Krishna had a room, or Krishna's room or home. It's almost as if when you enter that, you're in another space, another alternate reality, another time and place altogether. And I really like that concept because, you know, when you're doing something with someone, watching something, hearing something, eating something, or smoking something, it sometimes transports you to an alternate reality where it's just you. Right? That's exactly what this podcast is for me. I mean, this mic is therapeutic for me, if I have to put it like that. I mean, instead of me having to talk to a shrink, I talk to my screen and see my voice levels and listen to recorded playbacks of myself. What I'm trying to say is that this podcast for me is a place of depth. It's a place where I can pursue myself without a filter, and I want it to be like that. And without a filter, there are two things that define me, or two things that I'd like to be defined myself by. One is my truth, and the second is my freedom. When I say my truth, I quite simply mean what are the truths that define my reality? What are the things that I believe true? Whether it's as a thinking, as a limiting belief, as a way of thinking, or logistically, what are the things that are true for me? And what are the things that are false for me? And continuously living my truth. I'll give you an example. My truth right now is I cannot afford to do a lot of things that I want to. My truth right now is I am able to sustain this lifestyle, giving up certain amounts of the things that I would define as my freedom. But at the same time, realizing that true freedom begins not when you have all the time in the world to do anything, but when you have no time to do anything and you decide what are the things you want to prioritize. So that's another thing I learned. But my freedom and my truth has always been being honest to my emotions, my feelings, my thoughts, never ever putting on a face in front of the people I like and respect and want around me. It is to pursue those thoughts of mine willingly that I want to pursue, and those thoughts that I don't want to pursue, I confront. And I ask myself and tell myself why I don't want to pursue those thoughts. So these are my truths. These are some of my truths. My other truths are, I may act like an adult, but I'm very youthful, very kiddish at the end of the day, like to do things that little kids do. And that's my truth. My other truth is I absolutely adore women, and at no point of time can I tell a woman that you have to make me your boyfriend and I can be the only one for you. I can't be like that. Same time, I cannot let anyone tell me that. So then that brings me to my second point of the freedom. For me, freedom is equal to nothing else. I mean, to be able to at any point of time decide what you want to do for yourself, that is for me freedom. And this freedom is then supplemented by what is the truth within which this freedom exists. I'll give you an example. For a long time of my life, I believed that, I used to have this tendency of escaping. Things go bad, I would leave. So when things started going really bad for me in the city, like I'm like, I don't want to work, I don't want to make money, etc. I left and I escaped and I traveled around the world, and not around the world, I traveled around India, or at least my world. And I really realized at that point of time that I was free to do anything I wanted. But because I was not financially enabled, I was not actually free. I was very, very much in a prison. I had to sleep on the floors, eat minimal food, live in very shabby accommodations, depend entirely on the people who took care of me. So it was very weird. I mean, I had freedom to be where I wanted to be, but I did not have the freedom to do or extend myself into the ways that I wanted to. So you understand what I'm trying to say? Like, I was in Goa, but I didn't have 1 rupee to spend in Goa. I was in Goa. I wanted to go from here to there, but only way I could do that was by walk or hitchhiking. Whereas I wanted the freedom to do whatever, like go to that place, this place, eat, party. But then again, that becomes my truth. My truth was I was broke, unemployed, didn't have financial independence, did not have alternate sources of income, did not have a, what is that known as, a passive source of incomes. There's no way I could sustain myself. So my truth was I was chasing freedom, but kind of in a prison. So there was no way I could be free. Now, on the other hand, I'm much more free, even though a lot of my time is invested. And this is something that I'm consciously investing in building something else, which I would, again, facing my truth, yes, I am giving up my freedom. But I'm giving up my small freedom to get a big freedom, right? Like, I'll tell you what I mean. Like, there's two kinds of freedoms that I can have. One is the freedom where I can do whatever I want with my time, or one is the freedom where I can do anything I want with my money. If I have the freedom of, I can do whatever, this is my truth. If I can have the freedom of doing whatever I want with my time, I will most probably not have the freedom to do whatever I have with my money, because I will not have money. Same with money and time. Now again, I'm in this point of time exploring my mindset of whether the way I look at money is right or not, but it's a separate philosophy. A separate philosophical discussion to be had in and of itself. And I'm not going to get into that right now. So this is going to be, again, focused on that truth and freedom. It really annoys me when people don't live their truth, when people give up their freedom. When people don't live truthfully and when they give up their freedom, I think that is the one thing that I'm against to the core of my heart. And it usually starts with parents and kids, parents taking away freedom, parents taking away and defining that child's truth, as opposed to understanding that that child's truth is something else entirely. Not just for me, but every single parent and child relationship that I've seen, barring maybe 2 or 3. I've seen probably at least 1 lakh parent and child relationships. And in that, I've probably seen maybe a few handful that are amazing. Rest are garbage. I'm no one to judge, but I feel this very strongly to the core of my heart. Freedom and truth. Your freedom leads to your truth, and your truth defines your freedom. Or rather, I would say your truth leads to your freedom, and your freedom defines your truth. At any given point of time, it's very good to be truthful about your situation. And that's exactly, I think, what happens with Arya Stark's training also, right? And she becomes no one, or whatever, the man, or whatever they're known as. I still remember, they ask Arya, explain, who is Arya Stark? She says, Arya Stark, daughter of Ned Stark. daughter of Eddard Stark, princess of something like that, something of Winterfell. She has 5 siblings, and as soon as she said that, wadak, she has 4 siblings and a stepbrother. Right? So all her life she's told herself Jon is her brother, but her truth is Jon is her half brother. She sees Jon as her brother. That's a different personal thing. But the truth is Jon is her half brother. So that's what I mean by truth. It's like knowing that I love this person despite their bullshit. That's the truth, right? It's not telling yourself, they don't have any flaws or any bullshit. They do. They're full of shit. But I still love them. That's the truth. I hate doing what I do, but I still want to do it. That's the truth. As opposed to telling, I love my job, but then going home and like, fuck, I hate my job. Like a lot of people, they hate what they do, but they know that they're in there. They're truthful to themselves that they're in there to do something, to use that to build something else. Whereas a lot of people hate what they do, but they lie to themselves saying, this is where I want to be. And they'll regret it. I don't ever want to be the second one. I don't want to struggle to be the first one either, because that is also like a rat race kind of thing. But I hope you understand what I mean by truth and freedom now. Truth. I cannot tell you how important it is to speak our truth, to be our truth, to embody our truth. But before that, and that is what leads to freedom. I mean, when you start living truthfully, at that point of time, you will not be... I'm speaking of myself. When I started living truthfully, when I started telling myself that I want to start living truthfully and started becoming aware of situations where I lie to myself, lie to others, lie to the society, lie to reality that I live in, that's when I bring myself back. Dude, that's not my truth. I still remember there was a time of my life in college when I was very insecure. I still am insecure at times, but I was really insecure at that point of time, and I used to make up stories of me having freelance clients and stuff like that, even though I never did. So that's another thing, it's really, that was me not living my truth. So now when I tell myself, I wish I had a passive source of income, now which I don't have because I've not worked towards it, I've not built anything towards it, or I've not tried enough. That's my truth. Then it becomes another thing, like I'm waiting, hoping that I'll have one idea that will click. But I know for a fact that the one idea that I have will never click. I'll have to probably try out 10 different ideas, 2 different ideas, at least 3 different ideas, 4, 5, I don't know, before this 1 or 2 things that will click. The truth is that I don't even know if anyone wants to listen to this podcast. If there are a million people out there that want to listen to this podcast like the way I keep telling myself, it's the truth. But now that I have this truth, I know this truth, I have the freedom to do whatever the fuck I want with this podcast and use it to build it towards the truth that I want it to be. That's what I very strongly believe in. Truth and freedom. 2 qualities of... Two of the greatest gifts we can have, like living truthfully and enjoying our freedom. Again, this does not mean that you can't lie, or you can't put self-discipline, or you can't do things that you don't want to, or if it's wrong to be lying and wrong to not have freedom. I don't believe in that. I believe that this is fucking optimum. Like if your truth is that I am truthful, but to some people I cannot be truthful, so I have to lie to them, that's your truth. If your freedom is that I know I have the money to buy a Snickers every night and eat it, but I'm not going to do that, then you're fucking free still. Right? So it's a very gray area thing. You can't just be like, do whatever you want equals freedom. It's like Assassin's Creed, they say, right, nothing is true, everything is permitted. Usually for the people on a surface level, it means that, nothing is true. It's a very nihilistic way of looking at things, and everything is permitted. A very, again, anarchic, nihilistic way of looking at things. But when you actually read the philosophy, when Altair explains it, he says, Ezio explains this, he says, nothing is true is not to tell you that nothing is true. It's to tell you that when someone sells you an idea, or some God man or someone comes and tells you something is the truth, you've got to ask yourself, is that the truth? Is that really the truth? That's what it means when they say nothing is true. It does not mean that you should not have your truth. It just means that just because someone says it does not mean it's true. Just because I say things on this podcast does not mean it's true for you. And when he says everything is permitted, they literally mean to say it's not that they mean to say that human beings can do whatever or whenever they want to do. It just means to say that no matter how many laws or how many constructs you have, human beings can do whatever they want, whether it's legal or illegal, whether they're consciously doing it or subconsciously doing it. Everything is permitted. Once it's done, if it's legal, you'll face the repercussions for it. Once it's done, if it's harmful, you will face the repercussions for it. Like, it's legal right now for me to drink poison. I mean, it's permitted for me right now to drink poison. But it's not in my common sense to do that. It's permitted. I can drink poison right now. I can go and drink Harpic or rat poison right now. But the truth is that I'll fucking die. It's permitted, but it's not good for me. Similarly, like slow poisons, cheese, carbs, excessive spices, masala, sugars. These are all slow poisons, right? It's permitted for me to have all of this as much as I want, but just because it's permitted does not mean it's good or it's true or it's legal or it's right. So that's what it means. When they say nothing is true, everything is permitted, it does not mean to say that the reality is nothing is true and that you can do whatever you want, but it is to say that just because someone says something is so doesn't mean it is so. And when they say everything is permitted, it means to say that no matter how much you think that human beings shouldn't do this or shouldn't do that, it's all permitted. You can do whatever. It comes down to societal laws, self laws, however you want to see it. Wow, I'm going to take a sip. I'm having a nice chamomile, mint, and something else tea. It's a nice one. I've always liked minty teas in the evening. I mean, if I get really fried towards the evening, so a minty tea really brings me back. It grounds me. And that is another thing about being truthful. When you're truthful, you're always going to be in the moment. That's something I believe. If you're truthful, you're always going to be in the moment. If you're not, then you're always going to be escaping in your head. And this is something that I've experienced for myself. When I'm truthful to myself, what I'm feeling, where I am, what I'm doing, what I want to do, what I can do, that's when I'm here. I'm here right now. I'm not stuck in my head. I'm here. I don't want to be here. Most probably don't want to be talking to this person, but I'm here. And now I've got to make sure that I get out of here. As opposed to being like, I don't mind, and then getting stuck in your head and then wishing you could get out of here, whipping out your phone, getting clammy. This happens to me a lot. Used to happen. Now I'm like, I don't want to be here, dude. I'm leaving. The truth and the freedom. The freedom to pursue your truth and having your truth lead to your freedom. Very important for all humans, like I believe. And I think that is the premise of my life. Truth and freedom. Truth and freedom. Let me see what it means in Latin. I'm going to name this today's podcast as well. What it means in Latin. English to Latin translation. If you know it, tell me what it is. Truth and freedom. Veritatem libertatemque. I don't think that's right. Veritatem libertatemque. I don't think that's right. Truth and freedom in Latin. In vino veritas. Truth is freedom. Truth and freedom. Latin discussion. Verum quod libertas. Veritas libertasque. So what is it? I don't know. The mistake. Veritas libertasque. That's what it is. Veritas libertasque. Awesome. So I guess I call it a night with this. I've got to get back to work. Thank you so much, guys, for joining in. Ladies, I'm telling you, if you've been listening to this, I want you to go to your man right now and ask him, what is your truth? What is your freedom? Guys, if you're listening to this, I want you to go to your girl right now and tell her, this is my truth, this is my freedom. Guy or girl, if you're single, then I want you to pull out a piece of paper, or I want you to whip out your phone and just type it down. This is my truth, this is my freedom. Or just think about it. It's up to you what you want to do, but do it. I'm telling you. Or best, just DM me. I'd love to talk about these things with people, so just DM me. And I'm going to call it a night here. Thank you so much for joining, guys. It's been fantastic. If you've got your cup next to you, make sure that you sip it. If you've got your joint, make sure you light it up. You spark your joint right now for me. If you're doing some random chore and listening to me, then, well, this is when I would like you to bring you back to become aware of where you are. You're probably doing a chore and listening to me. Don't zone out. And yeah, I'm going to call it a night here. Cheers, guys. Thank you so much for joining me. It's 8:22 right now. Wednesday, 10th of October. Fuck, I'm getting so confused. 7th of October. We've been in lockdown for a long time, I know. And I think I enjoyed it personally. I still am. This is the freedom that I've always wanted, to be honest. This is the truth, right? My truth is I've always wanted this kind of freedom. And I'm really enjoying it. Staying indoors is something I love. As much as I love staying outdoors as well. So yeah, truth and freedom. Guys, I'm signing off with this. If you ever see me making a truth and freedom merchandise, make sure you give me a shout out and tell me, bro, I heard that podcast first. You give me a free piece of t-shirt and I'll make sure you have it. With that promise, thank you for joining me. It was a fantastic, fantastic time having you. And I look forward to seeing you in tomorrow's podcast or the next podcast as the countdown to season 2 has begun. This is episode 22. And Anway Pramanik signing off. See you for the next one. Good night.